to put out here, and then we will go to public comment, and then we will go to 4-H, then the fair, then the rodeo, and then we'll go back to the agenda after that. People can get on with what they got to do. So we'll open up with Daryl with some facts that he has and some what our job as commissioners in the health board actually is involved here. So Daryl can have the floor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess we'll just kind of get into it as far as what our job is as the Board of Health, and so everybody understands the decisions that we're making. So the MCA 50-2-118 is the powers and duties of the local health officer. And section 2, it is to take steps to limit contact between people in order to protect the public health from imminent threats, including but not limited to ordering the closure of buildings, facilities where people congregate, and canceling events. MCA 50-2-116 is the powers and duties of the local Board of Health. And of course, there's lots of things that we're supposed to do. I'll just read the highlighted areas that are appropriate to this meeting. So identify, assess, prevent, and ameliorate conditions of public health. So I had to look up that word. That means to make something bad or unsatisfactory better. So that's what we're supposed to do. And in section G, protect the public from the introduction and spread of communicable disease and other conditions of public health importance. So that's our job today. That's what we'll be based on our decision.
And I would like to add one thing. We got a notification from MACO and the lawyer staff that as of July 1st, MACO will not defend or pay any claims related to COVID incidents. If you have an event and someone was to die and they sued the county, MACO will not defend you and they will not pay any claims. So that falls completely onto the county and the taxpayer.
And I guess along with that, that could be to any board that is not a county board. So you would be the event organizer. I guess that's how I look at that kind of stuff. So.
Did you guys review my email from ACO?
Yep.
Okay, so just so we're clear, they're saying the language is good on that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so Nicole, would you like to read that one public comment?
Yes, absolutely. So this is an email sent from Ashley Hughes on Friday, June 19th to the Broadwater County Sanitarian. Sean, as a Broadwater County resident, I have some concerns and questions about the way the Fair Board is proceeding with the Fair and Rodeo. I was given your name as someone to express my concerns to. We are a 4-H family, and we are also a family with increased health risks associated with COVID-19. I've been in contact with our 4-H leader about how we will participate in this year's 4-H projects that will get figured out. My main concerns are how will a 4-day rodeo and now a concert happen with social distancing in mind? What steps will be taken to protect the citizens of Broadwater County? I honestly don't see how this event can happen with the governor's recommendations in mind. People should avoid gatherings of more than 50 people if physical distancing is not possible. Gatherings of more than 50 people should be canceled unless safe distancing can be maintained. Both the rodeo and concert will draw people from other counties where they do have active cases. All of our surrounding counties have canceled their fair and rodeos, so those people will want to come to ours if it's a go. Now that Montana is starting to see an increase in cases of COVID-19, there's even more of a risk. Broadwater County has felt like a safe zone for the past few months, but now we will be inviting hundreds of people from out of town to our safe zone. It's easy for me to say my family will just skip it this year and be on our way, but I fear our county will see repercussions from this event afterwards. And shortly after this event, our children will be going back to school. Something else to keep in mind, there have also been instances in other states where lawsuits occurred because of people getting COVID-19 during an event, even though it was their choice to go. I don't think our county could handle this if worst case scenario happened. I would appreciate a response on how and why our county is going forward with the fair and rodeo with a global pandemic currently happening. Thank you for your time, Ashley.
I guess I would like to add that I've talked with several members of our community for phone calls and actual in person have come to see me. They expressed their opposition to it. So.
Okay, so let's move on to 4-H plan.
Did I have a copy? Yes.
I guess I want to say you guys done a fantastic job. I mean, you got a schedule. Everybody knows what they're doing, what time, what day. That's perfect. I guess when I was reading the options for those who can't participate in the fair, I may have answered my own question. I looked down further where it says that they will maybe do a statement video or some type of virtual judging for those youth or whoever.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, so I want to emphasize that fair participation is totally optional. It always has been, but we definitely want to make sure that that message is clear this year, because sometimes there is a misconception that fair is required if you participate in 4-H, and it's definitely not. So it is optional. We've always had some things in place for kids that can't come to fair, but we are making those a little more clear this year. So most of the time they'll have their exhibit dropped off ahead of time, and they'll write something about what they did, what they learned. And if that doesn't work, we'll work with them to find some other way. But most of the time that does work. And
so they're going to have an opportunity to participate.
yeah,
I guess that's important. That's easy.
yeah,
The other question I had on the contract tracing section, it says that all currently enrolled 4-H members, parents, guardians, as well as any certified 4-H volunteers and judges. I should have started. Contact information is available for all those, but it does say if contact tracing is necessary, and it will be necessary. So we just need to make sure we have all that information from all of the 4-Hers and the judges and the volunteers.
yeah, all that is available.
Okay. That'll help trace that out. I like the fact that all your volunteers at the check-in and check-out tables are being required to wear a mask and sanitize their hands. Other than that, I don't have any other questions on what you're doing, other than I'm guessing that probably it's going to be volunteers and parents, and they're going to be doing all this work for you guys, right?
That's correct. We depend a lot on volunteers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't do it without them. So we have a great group of people that help put together this plan, and I think they're dedicated to make it happen for you. So yeah, there's a lot to it for sure. A lot of moving parts and pieces, but I think that we're capable of doing it.
Right. And I noticed that there's a lot of changes from the norm, and but I think they're a wise decision. So thanks for that.
Allison, how are you going to, are you having a live auction?
We are having a live auction, yeah.
How are you gonna spread, and you're gonna have that outside in a tent?
Yeah, so if you've ever been, you've probably been to fair before. So normally we're inside the livestock barn area, kind of jammed into that one side. So we're moving everything outside. The show ring, seating, the announcer stand is all going outside, and we're renting a big tent. And so that enables us to do quite a few different things. For one, we're able to increase the seating. We're just tight inside the livestock barn of where we can put the seating. Obviously, we'll have ability for increased airflow, traffic flow, just everything that's being outside. And then it also frees up lots of space inside that building too for the animals. So by moving everything outside, it's going to be a lot easier to social distance with a lot of increased seating. People can even stand back and watch. We're limiting the seating at the livestock sale to buyers only. And I think in the past we've had just over 100 buyers register. And so I think we feel confident that we can keep that social distance in the amount of space that we would have outside. inside the barn, we just didn't think that it would be realistic to be able to do it. So that's why I'm gonna do outside.
So you're just gonna have 100, you're just gonna presumably have 100 buyers in the tent, plus your staff.
Plus the volunteers, yeah, and we've asked, or will be asking, 4-H members and their parents not to sit, unless they're registered as a buyer. There are a few parents who do register as a buyer, they may have businesses or whatnot, or personally contribute, but, for the most part, they will not be in the stands, so they'll come in, they'll bring their animal. For the sale, kids come in one at a time with their animal, so there's not a large amount of children, there at the same time, and then they leave right after, so they can certainly stand back and watch, and we're hoping to be able to live stream everything too, so that, people can watch online, so that's our goal, is kind of quite figure out how all that will work, so we don't have internet out there, but, we're working on that.
I would clarify too, just so everybody's clear, that there'll be no sides on the tent, it will just be a roof.
Yeah, it's open air, so, yeah. And usually it seems like we get like a spring or a storm about the time the sale starts, so
Yeah.
that'll get the wind moving,
That's what I was gonna ask you, do you have a storm water plan?
Not really, but we're just keeping our fingers crossed. We did move the sale up, so it's earlier in the afternoon, so normally it's changed over the years, but, this year the announcements would start at 2 and the sale would start at 2:30, so it's a little bit earlier in the afternoon. Very normal. And no buyer's dinner, we're not doing a buyer's dinner. I just didn't want to try to have to figure that out, so.
The other thing I'd like to add is, proxy bidding has always been an option, and we're going to push that option to the buyers even more so this year. We can take those bids so that somebody that is already having to be there can operate those bids, which I think is gonna cut the actual buyer numbers down probably even more than the.
Yeah, sounds good. Do you have any questions on that?
Are you encouraging your buyers, and are they gonna be wearing masks as well?
Yeah, we're gonna have signs posted, and encourage, those are the time too. So, and we are gonna get a bunch, just to have there and hope that people will just maybe take them and use them. I don't know if that'll work or not, but
Mhm.
it's worth trying, right?
Any further discussion? Any public comments?
I just got a question. How many buyers do you actually, on the list of people who actually buy? How many are actually buying? About 50.
Yeah, I think we added it up the other day, somewhere between 50 and 60 that actively buy.
Because I know there's some competitions there that have a few of them, so.
Yeah, and we looked at the number that it was just over 100, right? Yeah, that was the amount.
And a lot of what you see in the stands on a typical night is just parents and grandparents, people that aren't bidding. As she said, we will, make sure that those people are not in those seats taking up those spots for people that are intending to buy.
Yeah, and we feel with the proxy bid, having that more of awareness, that'll hopefully reduce. And then also just when we did have a buyer's dinner, a lot of people would come, like bring a spouse, and they would come to enjoy the meal. In addition to the livestock sale, and I suspect because we're not providing a meal, that might again reduce the number down even more. So, it's hard to put a few things, but that would be our solution.
Is there any further public comment? If not, I guess we'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove the 4-H.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve the Broadwater County Police COVID-19 care plan.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion been made and second to approve the Broadwater 4-H plan for the livestock and show. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
You're welcome. Thanks for all your hard work, you guys. I guess the hard work's actually gonna start here in about 3 weeks, huh?
Yes, remember to get to conflict. Like I said, we got a good team, so
All
we're
right,
very done.
good job.
Thank you. Okay, now we will move on to the fair.
I guess I'll start then. I guess in reading kind of the opening statement of the fair plan, the part that I highlighted was it says willingness of the community to comply. I guess that's probably where we have some of our concerns. How do we make our community comply? The open class event is this for Broadwater County residents open, or is it open for anybody that wants to bring a exhibit?
Broward County.
Okay. Down in the sanitation and health portion there, where, how long does check in and check out usually take at the tables? Because I guess some of the conversations that we had before on mask issues was the exposure time when people are interacting.
So an opening class, and I put in here, registration is available or is open for 3.5 hours. And really all that opening class does is they set a table up at the garage, the big door entrance of the 4-H building, and people just come, drop off their items and leave.
They don't have to sign out paperwork if they register to enter their.
Well, they'll like check them in, and then they have to register kind of like 4-H on fair entry. It's an online system. They have to put in all their information into that, and then we have it all printed out. And so we check them in, they drop off their item, and they leave.
All right, so the registration portion is already taken care of before they get there, right?
We just have to like sign them in, like check their items.
They're just checking their items.
Yeah.
So I guess the point I'm trying to make is the exposure time that they interact with the person at the table is
It's very
short.
very minimal.
Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. So it also says that you're just encouraging your volunteers to wear a mask.
Well, we talked about putting up a barrier, the plexiglass.
I think if you have the plexiglass barrier, I think you're fine. I like the fact that the restrooms in the 4-H building are only going to be used for the judges and volunteers. I think that's a great idea. As far as for food vendors, I think that's up to the sanitarian to take care of that. He's the one that approves that plan. So in reading a lot of this document, I guess who's going to be responsible for these assignments and ensuring that they're carried out?
The fair board, and we have fair superintendents.
But I know your fair board's going to be pretty busy taking care of a lot of things. They're probably not going to be around.
Well, we realize with the workload, we're gonna have to ask other people to help too. We've also cut a lot of things out of this, so I feel like we slimmed it down quite a bit from what fair usually is. Trying to simplify it, but yet still make it possible. So we usually have a ton of under the tent entertainment. We usually have a ton of kids events, activities going on. We usually have a dance. We usually have stuff all day long, and that's not the case in this plan. We just cut all that out.
So go ahead and talk to us about your concert, how you envision that going.
We usually have under the tent entertainment, and this would be the first year of trying to do a concert. And we just figured if we could try to pursue the concert, we have more capabilities of limiting the number of people, being able to do tracing on the people. When we do the tickets, maybe pre-sold or online tickets. So we're working on that if it's possible. So that we'd have the contact information for the people that are attending. We could limit the number to 550 or less. And with under the tent entertainment, we couldn't do that because we have no way of, unless someone stood at the gate, which would back up traffic. I mean, it's kind of hard to limit the people that are coming in those gates. And we can space people. There's a lot of room, and we have the covered bleachers, uncovered bleachers, and we could even move in our bleachers that we put around the tent and take those out into the arena for a lot more seating. And then the food would also be up to the sanitarian, and then the beer stand. I just took the beer garden. I took the plan that the rodeo had in place because they'd be the ones manning the beer garden.
So is the plan to put the band in the arena?
Yeah, like towards the bucking chutes, like way back there, and then we have seating, a couple bleachers in the arena, and then the seating around. And we're gonna figure there'd be like, what, 940? What did you think the capacity was in there?
Oh, gosh, I mean, the overall capacity is probably close to 1,300 with all the seating.
And you said 940 was like 75.
Yeah, I maxed out 950, and that's, we had 900 with rodeo plan and seating. We went through with Robbie and Sean last Friday and went through what the recommendations were based upon people wearing masks or people not wearing masks, and then figuring out, went out and measured it on Father's Day, because that's exactly what I wanted to do, but went through it, and 952 seats are available, and we limited the amount in our plan, we limited the amount of tickets to 950. Now, that's seating, that's not standing, that's not sitting underneath the grandstands, that's not standing in the alleyway. That is literally just available seats. So really, when you look at the grand projection, there's a possibility to have, 12, 1,300 people in that facility at any given time under normal conditions. And so if you bring in more seating and spread it out, really you're just opening the door to more areas that people can utilize and still practice their social distancing aspect, just like what we did with our movement plan as well. So I think hopefully that answered your question there.
Yeah.
The last time we had a concert was the 50th year of the rodeo affair. We had Western Underground come in, and I don't remember what the numbers were, but even in that environment, people came out, stood in the arena. Some sat in the grandstand, some sat in the handicap seating. It wasn't congested, with a band of that nature. So it's what we're dealing with, and I think Daryl and Mike, we talked about this a little bit. People are going to be reluctant to come. We understand, and like I said, I'm not worried about contestants for the rodeo. I'm worried about people coming to the gate and watching. And so I think that's what anything we're going to do. People are going to be reluctant to do so, and we just got to make sure things are in place for the ones that do. But hopefully that things out. So concert, I think, is usual. And using the arena opens up a lot of it. That's it was 155 to 300. So that's a lot of social distancing. And I don't think you're allowed dancing either. Is that right?
We would talk about staying in your seat. Yeah.
So
We would potentially have 3 entrances for people to come in, 3 exits. We'd have an exit strategy for people, so we weren't all bunched up at the gate. We'd have cones for social distancing coming into the gate, and you do the pre-sale or online. if the rodeo is willing or able to happen, then we'd have the protection up for the ticket takers. And we talked about just like having a bucket out and someone standing there, but the people just put their ticket in the bucket so that someone can actually see that those people have a ticket. So there wasn't the transfer back and forth in the contest, right?
What time do we get out?
7.
Oh, hour and a half.
There was some plans, and Lewis and Clark and they were talking about, limiting these events to 250 people. Is that work at all? I mean, is that,
Well,
Cover our costs.
yeah, it wouldn't, because the stage and lights and sound alone is $2,750. The band's $1,500, so we'd like to at least cover one of those. We're only gonna charge $5 a ticket.
well, one issue I have is on exercise, self-discipline and common sense. And when you throw a beer garden and live music and 550 people together, I don't see how you're gonna accomplish physical distancing and exercise self-discipline and common sense. Kind of goes out the window when you start drinking beer. Other than the concert, I really don't have, I think the rest of the fair plan is very well thought out, and I think that you're gonna have to have some more staff. And if you do have to hire staff for cleaning and stuff like that you need to track those expenses, because we can write those off as COVID expenses through the county budget.
And we talked about hiring someone for the bathrooms, so
Yeah.
that's like an every hour.
All of that stuff is stuff that as long as you keep track of it, we can file for reimbursement on it. So that wouldn't have to, you'll have to pay the expense, but you get reimbursed into your budget. So some of that, a majority of that stuff will be covered. I just don't see the combination of the concert, the music, and the beer garden. I don't know how you're gonna patrol that. It just, to me, it doesn't work, and it's a very high risk.
So what if we took out the beer garden?
What's that?
What if we took out the beer garden?
Can I just say something? I mean, when we're talking about policing these things, the sheriff's office staff spends the whole week out there. And that's what we've done. The enforcement action is no different than my plan for the rodeos. I'm gonna ask you one time to comply with the mask. After that, I'm gonna tell you to leave. If you don't leave, you're gonna go find your way to a 6x8 minimum suit. It has to, there are some parts of this where, the fair rodeo, we're putting a lot of money, time, and energy into bringing an event to the community. And my mind is exactly that, is if you're not willing to comply with it, then you have no business doing it. And that's how the rodeo board feels about it as well, is there's only a certain part of compromise that I'm required to have. And so I think with the fair's the same thing. My guys are gonna be down there regardless. So if there's an issue arising, That's what their job is. I mean, they're there to protect the people just as much, and that's why we have to protect and serve on the side of the pump. So, I don't foresee it really, a major issue. 7 o'clock, majority of our powerhouse drinkers won't start until 9. So, they're not gonna come down, drink like hell for an hour and a half and then go home. That's just not the normal stuff. So, I mean, we're hour and a half here, 8:30. I mean, that's just not, you're gonna have your casual drinking, but I don't see the power folks that are there to party all night long on Wednesday night, being a major issue either. So, but there again, I know that's one of those things that, boys and brown belt if they get out of it. So that's kind of my guidance, my staff is, if we start seeing issues, and let's address them. It's a lot like taking the first bar fight of the weekend to jail. You take the first one away, it tends to change behavior for the rest of the weekend. So that's just my 2 cents.
I guess I'll do my 2 cents worth as well. I just don't see the concert happening, even if the beer garden is eliminated from it. I guess, my recommendation would be for the exhibit portion of the fair to proceed. I think that part is fine. But and the concessions, that's going to be up to Sean, how that's going to work out. That's another concession.
Is there any public comment? I guess we will entertain a motion for the fair plan.
Okay, I guess I'll make the motion that the exhibit portion of the fair plan be approved. The concert portion will be not approved.
Is there a second?
I guess I've got one question. Can we, on what we don't approve today, can we circle back to it and have further discussion, or is this it forever?
These guys need to know now.
Right,
They need to make that decision.
okay, I'll second it then.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the fair plan as presented minus the concert. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment?
I guess if you want to include the beer garden, but that's part of the concert.
So you're allowing commercial and food vendors?
Yes. Of course, the vendor is up to Sean. That's what he's the one that has to approve their plan, make sure he's going to work with the fair. So if they have an approved plan from Sean and Teresa, I guess they'll proceed.
How would those vendors would have to contact Sean, like prior to coming to town? So if they're gonna have to give him a plan so that he can approve it or disapprove it.
Well, all Sean required was that they meet with him before and have a meeting training with him.
Okay,
We're the ones that put in a plan submitted to Sean because we don't want to have the responsibility of it.
Right. And then
The commercial vendors do not.
Can I add something to that? The food vendors actually have to fill out, if they're not a full-time state licensed food vendor, they have to fill out a temporary food license that has to be submitted to Sean within 10 days before the event. And we've always had that.
okay.
And I think it mentions in your plan too, for the folks in the commercial vendors have, what's gonna be required of them as far as for their own sanitation and cleaning their products that people handle and stuff like that. So I think that's covered in the plan.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
I have a public comment here that showed up, if you'd
Okay.
like to take it. I realize it's after the vote. This is from Cassie Cooper. She states, I think with the police there at the concert, it would be possible to maintain social distancing. Like Sheriff Meehan said, if they're not going to abide by the guidelines, they don't need to be there.
Okay, we'll move on to the rodeo plan. Did you guys have signups Monday when?
This, are you asking for local rodeo or
For the NRA,
NRA is on the phone on Mondays?
on this Monday or?
No, the Monday of rodeo week.
Oh, okay, so you won't know how many contestants you'll have until
No.
that Monday?
Right,
Okay,
not
So,
until after 8 o'clock that night.
yeah, the only one, obviously, like I think we talked about on Wednesday, is one, the slack is probably gonna be bigger, than what I would normally envision. And with the limited amount of rodeos, these young athletes are all trying to get their spots and get some money made, find their way to the finals and everything else. But the part of slack is only time events. So it's barrel racing, tie down roping, bulldogging, team roping, I missed one there. Barrel, basically, I think they said barrels, but you have juniors and adults there on the barrel racing, those things, that's the other one I'm thinking of. No, I'm missing it, but. Breakaway, thank you. So, those are all individual sports, and I think that one of the things that we all talked about is the contestants aren't going to be the issue. The NRA guidelines and rules for NRA contestants are very clear, is that you don't get to congregate in an area, you don't get to come out. They want you to stay with your truck, your trailer, your car, until the time that you're up. And so, I think that's one of those things that I don't perceive being an issue. And through all of our discussions, I don't think anything with the contestants has been an issue. NRA rules should be fairly clear on that. They have their waiver, they have the medical assessments and everything else that they have to do prior to even competing. Obviously, they don't do it, they only compete. So that I don't think is an issue. Obviously, like I said before, the people in the stands is obviously a concern. One of the things that they did do, and I think that if they're very reviewed plan, is there's mandatory facial covering. There would be an handkerchief bandana or a mask. We spend about $40,000 a year with that rodeo. So we have to have a number that covers that cost. Now, do I think if you look through historically, I put some times in there, the plan was this year to limit to 950 tickets. You look at 18, we had 244 attendees on Thursday, 685 on Friday, 1,040 on Saturday, and 358 on Sunday. And then in 2019, 251, 651, 1,064, that's 327. So obviously Saturday was our big area of concern. Like I said, going through and measuring out the seating, the creating. So in each section, I broke the grandstands into sections 1 through 5 are mask required areas. In that area, you also have a built-in 6-foot barrier between groups. Masks have to be worn, and that's one of those things that, there again, I'm gonna come and tell you one time to put it back on. The next time, you're out of there. I need people to be compliant. People want to come out, they want to be outside. The CDC has a June 15th saying outdoor activities are safer than indoors. We know that coronavirus doesn't last long in sunlight, and so those are all good things. But the limiting those numbers, I think, maybe balances out across, and then obviously bringing in some extra seating throughout the areas is going to be beneficial as well. One of the things that's on that plan in regards to grandstands is when we get to where the old staircase that goes down underneath the grandstands, from there over is what the no mask required. One, to deal with an issue of what you exactly said. People get kind of stupid when they start drinking beer. And so working with Sean and working with Robbie last week, after the last Board of Health meeting, was that social distancing aspect. So we utilized every other row, 12 people, every other row, so 2, 4, 6, 8. First row across, every seating is not utilized at all, but it leaves 3, 5, 7, and 9 open across that area. And so that one creates a 6-foot barrier between anybody who's sitting in row 2 to the handrail. It's actually more than that, but then there's also approximately 6 feet in between each row. So trying to do a social distancing as best we can, and obviously a 6-foot barrier between anybody not wearing a mask and people wearing a mask. So that staircase is 6 feet, so we're just gonna tie off the rest of it. My other suggestion was even to block off the handrail and walking path in that area, so people from the non-mask side can't walk through a mask side. I'm really trying to be pretty stringent with that. And then having people, obviously, with the staircases, as we walk up and tell them, hey, you gotta have a mask on. You're gonna sit up here, you gotta have a mask on. There's only limited seating. Part of our discussion Monday night at the rodeo meeting was having those folks there, but also advertising that there's limited seats without a mask. We are going to encourage everybody to wear a mask or bring a mask. And if you go, obviously, if you want to step out and go behind the grandstands and pull it down, you're more welcome to do that. But we want everybody to have one, if they don't, some sort of facial covering, which we talked about, bandanas. We're reaching out to Wrangler and Dodge trucks. They give out thousands of bandanas every year at the farm. We thought maybe we'd see if they donate a bunch to us that way, just so people who could provide people some sort of facial covering if they found themselves in a position that social distancing wasn't there. But we left some area open for the beer drinkers that we know. I tend to call them the 40-year-old juveniles at times. Sometimes the best way to describe it. But the majority of the seating in the grandstands is designated as required face masks. The outside or the uncovered grandstands is the same way, and as well as a handicap area. So I thought those were adequate to the numbers that we see. So if we spread out 250 people in the Thursday night show for the kids, that's not too difficult when we have 1,300 seats available. So Sunday's the same way, and Friday's never that big of a crowd anyways. You know, one of the things that I keep hearing, I guess, and I want to emphasize this on a little bit is and even with the comment from the public from the start, even from the other ones that I hear, what about Bozeman coming to town or Lewis and Clark coming to town? Lewis and Clark and Bozeman are in our county by the hundreds every day. And just because there's an event here doesn't mean anything. I drive up and down these county roads and our state highways doing my job every day. And majority of the cars I come across are from 6 county, 5 county, 1 county, Great Falls. The majority of our traffic, all 20,000 cars that drive through our county every day, are from out of county. So using that as an excuse, it doesn't seem relevant, especially since I probably have the best knowledge of the people that drive through this county and interact. They're here regardless. People from New York are here, people from Washington are here. You heard Governor Bullock's talk about when he was up in Holland Lake running, the majority of the cars that were at Holland Lake were from Washington, and they were in a shelter in place. So it still comes down to personal responsibility because the citizens are going to do what they want to do. But in a venue such as the rodeo, and rodeo being a private organization, I think we have a little bit more ability to control the conduct and behavior of the people that are sitting in the stands as a private organization versus a government entity. So with that being said, the other thing that I did, as in reference to Commissioner Fulford's comment at the start of the meeting, one of the concerns that we have is one of the things we're going to do was not put ourselves as an agency or a group, the county, as would be or the fairgrounds or the NRA in jeopardy. So we utilize the NRA rules basically to say that you enter the facility at your own risk. And once you walk through the gate, you eliminate any part of anybody accountable in regards to the NRA, the rodeo board of the county. I did bring this up. It's going to be printed on our tickets, one of our affirmative tickets, so it's right there for everybody to read. And then we'll have the signage, which we've already had made, placed at those 3 entrance points as well. Also have that, have those reminders brought across by Larry, the rodeo announcer. I sent the stuff off in Mako as the claims department to see if we even held water. And they said, no, it's fine. The only thing they recommended was changing some verbiage in the first paragraph of the plan. Instead of trying to promote the safest rodeo, is by doing these things, people can have a safe rodeo. And that was a recommendation. So some of the things I probably didn't discuss in the plan, and Joe's brought it up, is the ticket takers. Forgot we have to get plexiglass for the one ticket booth. We did talk about that Monday, and I forgot to put it in there. The yellow ticket booth that we have lowered that glass in place. So there's not much there. And then obviously we're talking with Robbie and Sean. We talked about plexiglass in the beer garden, and then plexiglass as well in the concession stand. But I didn't put a concession stand plan in there because that would be done by whatever organization is the one that wants to do food. So I figured I'd let that plan be developed by whoever does that, be approved by the sanitarian. I'm trying to think what else. So the only other thing that about the contestants of our rough stop section during performances is there again, the NRA expects social distancing within the Cowboys. So we're going to have to expand our area just to make sure we give adequate space for the bull riders. There's only the most they can have, I think, is 10. And same as a bareback and saddle bump, which we never have. We usually have 4 or 5. But those guys are also required to stay in the vehicle and be covered up. And then when they come back behind the chutes, it's the cowboy, their helper, the flank guy, and the judge. And that's all that's behind the chute. So it's not the days of having 50, 60 people back there stand behind the chutes is not going to happen. We understand that the way things were and the way things have been in the last 50, 70 years of the rodeo isn't going to fly this year. And we get that. So, I thought it was a decent plan, but I missed a couple things. I know that. I'm open to questions.
So, let's say in the event that, their deputies are called off to another call or assume they're absent from the event, who's going to be the backup for control and enforcement?
Well, one of the things I thought about was just seeing it. Friday night, Thursday night, I'm not. Thursday and Sunday, I'm not. I'll be honest with you, the numbers just don't. That's never been an issue. I'm sure it's not an issue. Sunday, the local adults, the families usually sit together when they're on the hurdles, so it's their huddles, I guess. So that's not a huge deal. I'm not worried about people who live in the same house or spend all the time together. The bullet is, but you can't keep families apart. But Saturdays or Thursdays the same way. Friday is Uniform Services Appreciation Night. In conjunction with the Man Up Crusade that we have on the Western Towns. And I actually thought that maybe I could recruit some of my search and rescue personnel to come out and assist as well, since it is a night that recognizes their efforts as well. I don't know if the fire guys would be interested or not, but that was kind of one of my ideas, just to kind of get more of our uniform services folks out there to just help out. Saturday night, I mean, it's pretty rare that all of us occur at the same time. But last year during the kids rodeo, just before the kids rodeo, we had a homicide, so I lost all my guys. So those are things that have to be applied. The other part is just trying to find people that are willing to. We have a lot of folks that are willing to help, and sometimes just all it takes is asking. So I don't foresee. Majority of people that sit in those sections are not there they're not my guys sitting in the rear guard. They're there to watch the event and go home. And the first one's there, the first one's gone. And a lot of those folks leave before the bull riding even starts. And that's what, and actually some of those guys are. And the reason why I put the group on the other end is that's where they always sit. And they're up and down and back and forth and everything else. So, one of the things that I try to figure out is if I want to try to take on the responsibility of more than wiping down the toilets and stuff, or if I want to find somebody to do it. And it might be more easy for me just to find somebody to do it. I have a particular person in mind. That would probably do it. Just if I said, I'll give you a ticket to the rodeo if you come to the so it'd probably be all over it. So, the hand stations are there, and I think that they're adequate hand stations for the event. There's 3 or 2 between the contested section, 3 within the beer garden. And, again, those are all great and dandy as long as people use it. And I can't overturn anybody and say, wash your hands. It'd be nice if I could, but I can't. So, I wouldn't mind putting my handcuffs on. So, other than that, I think it's my understanding, and one of the things is talking with Sean and Robbie is that if everybody's wearing masks, the social distancing is not that. You can't have it both ways. You can't require people to wear a mask and then say, stay 6 feet apart. Because if that's the case, we don't want to wear a mask on. So, you can ask me to do it all day long, and in some places, when I walk off the grandstand, I can't make it work. But if they're going to sit up there, you gotta have it on. So, That's why I figured with the bandanas, you can still technically eat and drink without having to pull the thing off, so they can lift it up and do what they need to do.
So you are still planning on having a section for uncovered people, 23, is that what you said?
120.
120.
And that's with, that's. That might get that way on Saturday. Like I said, I honestly struggle with the idea that we're gonna even hit the 901. I just, with the way people are right now, I just don't see, I just don't see it. Even if people have the ability, which they do, doesn't mean they're going to. I think that everybody recognizes the fact that, yeah, the state's testing thousands of people at a lap here anymore. Yeah, we're getting more numbers. Well, yeah, we went from, what was it, 60 in March 30th, it was the average age of personal COVID was 65. Now on June 21st, 35. We catch it, we get it. And so I think society gets it, but we have to also take precautions. And I think that people are going to be very big compliant. We're not going to have any issues. Myself, we don't have very many issues here. So it's not until we go downtown that we really have problems. So that's not my issue either. So I don't do the downtown thing. So, it's, everything goes smooth. It's 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I don't think it's too much ask for me to put a facial covering on for that short period of time. We watched it there.
Well, I know we're kind of on a upward trend right now. Cases last night, I don't have 235 in one single day.
Right.
So where are we at, Teresa?
I'm not exactly sure.
I was trying to pull up, the internet's not working for me here. But I know yesterday, I don't have the numbers for today, but it was pretty significant. It matched the peak of the first outbreak.
Yeah.
37.
So, and I guess too, I would also say too, that this thing could get canceled on a whim, even if we say yes today. The governor could say, lock down the state again. I mean, who knows what he's gonna do?
Well, I think that's where, and that part that says in the plan is that, in all reality, in 2 weeks, we would be no different than we were back in May when we went 14 days without a case or minimal cases. That could do that just the same. We can't be ignorant of the fact that we're testing people who have no symptoms, been around no COVID. Those are the people we're testing. We're testing people that feel concerned enough to go get a test, which makes no sense because I guess it makes no sense to me. Is you're going to go test everybody, yeah, you're going to have more numbers. Let's not panic over it. We're encouraging this, so why are we panicking over it? And they're promoting people who don't have symptoms. Can we tell because it's new? No one has a vaccine. No one knows much about it. And we know if these are the people that are making other people sick. No, we don't. And I know Teresa's upset about that statement, but that's what I hear every day. And all year long, because people are frustrated. Their lives being controlled by something now. Makes no sense. And that's how we feel. But in 2 weeks, we could be at 0 numbers. In a month, we could be at 0 numbers. In a month, we could be at 5,000. I get it. But, shutting it down without a plan and saying, no one's got a crystal ball in this room. And no one can see the future. So you shut it down today, and then in August, or in July, we have no cases. Then what do you got? Cancel an event for what? This crystal ball is broken.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on the fact that there are more cases coming to light because of the testing. And what that tells me is that there's more COVID out there than what we realize. That's what that test is telling me.
Absolutely.
And that's what that tells me we need to be cautious because we have no idea of anyone that could show up here that may not be having the symptoms the day that they show up. But they could go home 2 days later and have those symptoms. Well, in the meantime, how many people did they interact with while they were here at our event?
How many people do I interact with every day? But here's the same.
I'm not talking about you.
Okay.
I'm holding, listen to me. I'm talking about our event. And I'm talking about protecting our community.
I get it.
Okay, so that's where we're at today, and that's what our job is here.
Let's just think about this real quick, okay? Because I like to muddy the water. And there's more people die of cancer every year than die of COVID.
Oh, come on, Wen.
Hey, Teresa,
Jeez.
but we don't stop the world for it, do we?
So today there's 829 cases, 22 deaths, 29 new cases, 14 hospitalizations, 218 active cases. And Broadwater County has 1. Thank you, Nicole.
I'd just like to add, there are other counties in Montana having rodeo. Like, we would not be the only county having an NRA rodeo. There's, like there's a few this month still having rodeos, and I know Jefferson County canceled their fair, but they're still having a rodeo. So we would not be the only county having a rodeo. And the counties that are have a larger number of COVID than we do. So that's just something to consider.
And Lewis and Clark County yesterday actually canceled the parade for Lincoln, but not the rodeo. Because they said there was more of a chance on the parade transferring the COVID, with people coming up and not having any control, so they canceled the Lincoln parade. Granted, our parade is very different than the Lincoln one, if you've ever been to it, but they did cancel the parade. Lewis and Clark County did.
I guess my major concern is that, you know, we go through all this process to rodeo, we control everything. And then at 9 o'clock, 500 people hit the commercial bar.
Well, that's
And there's nothing that we can do about that. And the other part of that is that now that we're seeing, you know, they used to say it was the young kids and the older people were susceptible. Now it's hitting 20 to 30 repeatedly. That's where a majority of the cases are coming from right now. And what that's from is that's from party. And then that's what you're gonna get down there. And the thing is, we have a whole community to protect. I don't have, you know, the rodeo plan is probably good with the exception of the beer garden. I can't see the beer garden working. And the other part of that is that if you get a call, something happens somewhere and your deputy's gotta go, then we've got a free for all. And I realize your rodeo committee would try to do that, but the problem is they're trying to run the rodeo. So you got people split up all over the place, and you're really, you're gonna, if you do have, that does happen, you lose that little bit of control that we do have, then you've started it, but then when you go downtown.
That's not my thing.
No, but what I'm saying is that when you bring that rodeo into town, all of those people are coming for that event, and then that's why they're here.
But
Just come to the rodeo, and I realize that's not your problem, but the thing is
to approve that plan. The city has to approve, if John Fuchs wants to close the street down, the city has to approve that plan. It has nothing to do with the rodeo. And let's be honest, I mean, if John, I haven't heard from John that he's gonna try to do a street dance. I would highly not recommend that. I don't think that's where we live right now. That was way too many people, and the fact is that he still has to fall under the current level of how many people can be in that bar. And so there's no way for him to even police that in any aspect if you have the rodeo crowd in there. That ain't gonna happen. I mean, there's no way for him to do that. That you'll get, I'm pretty sure that any given time during rodeo weekend, the state fire marshal walked in where he flipped a biscuit with the number of people that are in there. And I think John recognizes that. I don't see that being a problem whatsoever. And I don't foresee, he hasn't said a word to me, and I've talked to John several times about doing a street dance or anything like that. Like I said, things are different. We have to accept that. And I don't think anybody is against it. It's just, Like I said, you know, we have people here all the time. And unless you're gonna put a barricade up on each highway and say, if you're not from Broadwater County, you can't come in here. There's no way to stop the motoring public coming through Broadwater County, stopping at Rocky Mount Supply, Town Pump, the Canyon Ferry, Mercantile, any of it. They're here. And with everything going on from across this nation and everything from management pulling out our statues, people in those other states are flocking to Montana in high numbers. We know that. I had a deputy put his house up for sale, and the first 4 bids on it were all from out of state because they don't like what's going on in other places. So we're not stopping people from coming here. And if we think, does any government agency think you're going to stop the moral public from entering a county, we lost our minds. We might as well resign and go on our way because we're not doing any of that. So.
Did we hear anything from Sean, what his thoughts on the plan are? I'm kind of disappointed he's not here today.
Yeah. It's his 50th birthday.
He had a planned trip away
Yeah,
about a
yeah,
month
trip with
ago.
his family before this came along, so we respect that.
Did he leave a statement or anything?
Well, he did kind of leave us a guideline from, he's been attending some meetings in other counties. I guess, this is what was adopted by Lewis and Clark County. It says, in events with greater than 50 people, being held, the inherent nature of the event allows predictable and manageable social interactions through a structured physical layout. Controls for ingress and egress. And what they're talking about is events that have a structure to them. For example, our 4-H fair, they have a great structure. They've got an agenda, they know what time people are doing things, and they're pretty regimented. The other example they use in here is like a school graduation or a religious service where we know exactly what's happening. So anyway, events outside of that type of thing where it can be, has some kind of predictability or manageability, they're not comfortable with.
May I ask, the Walleye Festival, was that approved for this weekend?
I don't know.
Because it's going on, registration is,
Was it?
I have nothing. It's a chamber event, but we've been out.
I mean, we were told it was approved. I mean, as of yesterday, there were 105 teams.
Yeah.
Each team has family members coming. I mean, and most of them are not from Brevard County or even Montana.
So did the commissioners following up on that? Did you approve that plan or have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, no. And it wouldn't come to the commissioners anyway.
We come to Board of Health,
It
right?
would come to
Well, I mean the Board of
It would
Health.
come to the Board of Health.
So did you, the Board of Health approve that plan?
I've never seen it done.
No, I think Sean was.
I have the plan on my desk, but it hasn't been approved.
So it hasn't been
starts
approved, but
tomorrow.
it's, no, they're registering
Oh, today?
today. at noon.
Unless Sean approved it. I've just been too busy. Sean's pretty much taken over most of it.
Mhm. And he said it was going to be approved, but they were missing a couple of pieces. So, I mean, registration starts at noon. It's definitely happening.
Yeah. Sean probably approved it.
I think it's really good, but
And it's a great deal of people and they'll be here in Broadwater County.
who's organizing?
That's
that?
manageable though.
Sean
Sean
Jacobs.
Jacobs. Owner of the
Silos.
Silos.
The plan was very good.
He's been working.
So then he's probably gonna work with Sean.
There was only 2 items that had to be changed. And like I said, Sean's been taking over most of it. But there was only 2 items that had to be changed and,
And the board gave Sean and Teresa the authority to approve that plan, so if they approve it, then that's probably what happened.
I guess before we go any further too, Dr. Campbell, what are your thoughts as far as the rodeo?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts, really.
Please share.
I think the fair and the rodeo have a significant financial effect on the county. And what with recent events, they're just kind of going down in that regard. I do believe that you can have a hard time having a bunch of people in 100-degree weather keeping a mask on. It brings up a point. Now, what about those facial shields? I got some facial shields from the federal government. Is that adequate as far as the state is concerned? I had some people from Walmart come over. The problem is, a little bit of redundant, problem is with the masks, the reason people have trouble breathing those masks because it increases the dead space. And anybody that has any respiratory problems at all, they get less and less oxygen. So unless they have some nasal oxygen underneath the mask, it's going to be extremely difficult for them. However, if they had those plastic shields, like the plastic shields that hang over the windows and the people in the bank and the grocery stores and stuff, it's just a modified thing that goes over the face. Now that may be an alternative to the mask on a hot day. I don't know. I don't know for sure. If the big problem is the beer garden, do away with the beer garden and let people have their rodeo. That's my opinion. I know that they're getting more cases, and we have another one here in Broadwater County. But I do not believe that it has changed since day one. The reason we're getting more is because of the testing more. I don't have an objection to that. I think it's good. Well, I've done more testing on my patients, and now that the tests are available. That's just my opinion on that. I don't think that virulence or the degree to which people are infected in Montana is changed significantly since day one, since they shut down, since the government shut down everything. I don't know if you can prove that one way or another. But my major concern is the people of Broadwater County, and there's a lot of ways that their health can be affected besides an infection. That's just my opinion.
Well, so let me just kind of put out here, this is, first off, I mean, one, this is an outside event, this is not inside. So I understand what everybody's concerned about it, but right now you can fit, 100 people in a commercial bar inside of a building under the current level or what's being done. This is an outside event, so you're talking a swap that's, well, I don't know, 1,200 square feet maybe, commercial bar. But here's a message from the public. I don't know if everybody's read this. I'll read it for everybody though. This is the signage, this is what's on the tickets, and this is everything else. It says warning, entering a venue at your own risk. Facility assumes no responsibility for the spread of infectious disease. By entering, you agree that you're accepting responsibility for your own personal safety and safety of others by following all CDC recommended guidelines, including social distancing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Please bring and wear a face mask covering for your nose and mouth. Utilize the hand washing and sanitation stations regularly. Do not enter if you are susceptible to illness or showing symptoms of infectious disease. By entering the venue, acknowledge that you are releasing the owner and all sanctioning parties, participating parties of liability act. Entering the venue hereby releases waived discharge from events not to sue the venue owner, event organizers, affiliate parties. This comes back to, it says it right there. If you're at risk, don't come. If you're sick, don't come. There's a lot of personal responsibility upon this, and I guess I'm just baffled on where in the law or in the Constitution that as citizens we've afforded or dictated or handed over our abilities to live our lives. I've been doing this 24 years, and I don't know any such thing. Nowhere at any time as an American citizen said, you know what, I need big brother government to tell me how to live my life. And it baffles me that anybody thinks they have the ability or constitutional authority to tell people where they can and can't go. And you can see it with the executive order done by Governor Bullitt said, everybody shelter in place. We got on the highway, there's a whole bunch of cars out there in a shelter in place. So I struggle with it. You know, people have to be responsible for their own actions. And if you're sick or you don't want to go, don't go. No one's holding a gun to your head. But I think it's only right to afford people the opportunity, if they are healthy enough and can, to enjoy something that they enjoy for 57 years.
Can I ask you? Go ahead.
I was texting John Fuchs to ask him that very question because I think it's pertinent to this discussion, whether or not he was planning on having the street dance and the road closure. So he said, I was waiting to hear if there's going to be a rodeo. Then I have to talk with Sean as to how we are going to be able to limit people in the bar. A street dance or street closure is the only way I could think we could support that many people safely. We will have to hire people at the door to limit the amount of people in the bar. I think the street closure and dance will be better for social distancing myself and the outside bar. Sorry, thank you for.
I have a question. The Walleye Festival starts today, registration. There's gonna be alcohol there. I think Teresa just said she hasn't seen that plan. You guys, the Board of Health gave Sean Rowland permission to approve that. But Teresa hasn't seen the plan.
No, I have the.
Oh, you have the plan.
Mhm.
Okay, so you have approved it?
Sean is taking over
Okay.
because I'm going to be leaving.
So I'm just wondering what the difference is between that. There's gonna be hundreds of people there with alcohol and the rodeo.
What does alcohol have to do with it?
We're talking
We're
about
talking
beer
about
garden.
Oh,
There's gonna be alcohol at the Walleye, and there's a possible beer garden at the rodeo. So I'm confused on what the difference is there.
well, whether they, drink alcohol or not at the fishing tournament, I mean, the plan that they had was lined out very well as far as social distancing for registration. Really, people are going out in their boats and fishing. And then, so the only two things we had to really worry about were registration and the awards ceremony. And that was very thought out, very outlined well in their plan. And I actually saw no problem with it. Sean had 2 issues with it and he made them correct them. And that's where that went. But I'm sure Sean wouldn't have approved it if he thought there was going to be an issue with people, congregating, drinking beer. So,
I have a question. Have you read the rodeo plan by chance? I was just wondering what your opinion was
yes, I have.
on it.
How I feel about it is because so many rodeos are closed down. I know that there's some of them that are still going on, but there's a reason they're closed down. And I feel like because there are so many closed down, we're going to have a lot more participants coming from further away to get their points and that kind of thing. And so, my thought on it is I understand that we have people coming through Townsend all the time from Helena, Bozeman, wherever. But right now, our concern is all those people are going to be congregated at our fairgrounds, not driving up and down the highway, stopping in the town pump or Rocky Mountain. They're going to be congregated at our fairgrounds. My concern, as the public health director, is that if we lose one life, that's too many. If we have an outbreak and we have to, practically shut down our town because we have 20 people infected with COVID because of the fair, then we have not done our job.
Sorry.
Your comments need to go to the chairman.
Okay,
You don't
Mr.
talk to
Chairman,
people.
I guess my question, sorry, was more on her idea on the plan, because she said she read the walleye plan and she didn't have problems with it. And then, she said that Sean had too, so I was more asking on if she saw something in the plan that she agreed or disagreed with
On the fair plan?
on the road plan.
Oh, I just don't think we should have it, so I'm sorry.
So there wasn't a,
Yes.
It wasn't anything specific, really. It's just that, right now, it's the 20 and 30-year-olds that we can't control. They're the ones that are carrying this virus all over our country. And those are the people that are gonna be, drinking and not following the rules. And, I also feel like, if Doc and I went out there and said, okay, this is not working, we see all kinds of problems. Are we going to shut it down? Are we gonna have the sheriff's department behind us? In my incident command team, if you don't have your law enforcement behind you, you just as well not even review any plans.
And I would have to say that Sheriff Meehan already said he's giving one person one chance, and second chance you're out. So I think that you do have law enforcement behind you there. And not only that, I wish that the plan is amazing. The rodeo board, they were very specific and detailed. And I still want to understand why we have a walleye festival that is proved. There's going to be congregation, there's going to be drinking. There's no difference here. Out of state, out of county.
Following up on what Teresa said about some rodeos have been canceled, some walleye tournaments haven't been. So this one this weekend might be really good. So same kind of thing.
It might be what? I'm sorry.
It might be a larger tournament than ever, because other fishing tournaments have been canceled. So I
think waters are starting to get a little muddier when you're gonna approve plans and not approve plans. When you can't even get feedback on why you're not gonna approve that plan, you just don't think it should happen. But you're gonna allow a walleye and they have a good plan. Wayne has an amazing plan. I had an amazing plan. Allison had an amazing plan. And to not even be able to say what's wrong with our plan, just we shouldn't have it. It's gonna get real muddy when you're gonna approve these things and not approve these things. When it's gonna be a large amount of people, there's gonna be alcohol, there's gonna be people coming from out of state, tons of people coming through the county. It's the same thing. So I think we just have to I hope you guys will really think about that.
So don't group us together, because that is only my opinion. I didn't say it wasn't an amazing plan and very thought out. I guess as a public health nurse, I see that, this is just asking for trouble. So that's only my opinion. So, I'm not a voting member, I'm an advisory member, and, I did not. I did read the walleye plan, but I've just been too busy right now to doing grants and trying to get money for the county for whatever's going to happen down the road is what we're planning for, because they are saying that we're going to have a huge outbreak, and it may have already started, or it may not start for another month or 2 or 6. We don't know, but right now that's what we're planning for. And so my job is really way beyond planning the fair. So.
And I would agree with you. The plan, I think the plan is a good plan. Some parts of it I don't think are enforceable. But the problem is that we need to look at it as the Board of Health and as commissioners, is that You guys are looking at 4 or 5, you're looking at 5 days. We're looking like 6 or 7 months. If you allow this to happen and COVID starts here, the next week, football practice starts. Some kids at the rodeo got COVID, he don't know it, he goes to football practice, pretty soon the football team is affected. Then the school opens, then the school's affected. So now we're shut down again, we're all homeschooling again. Now you've got kids who are marginal in the school that need that social contact. They're not gonna get it if the school's shut down again. That's not gonna happen. So we're setting up those kids. That's not good for those kids or for parents, because that puts, I mean, if anybody learned anything this last 3 months of school, is how much more money a teacher should get paid because what you gotta put up with from your kids. And then the other part of that is that you have to look at this economically. Sure, we don't have any influence over that, but the problem with this is that if this happens, all of our restaurants go back to carry out. The commercial bars shut down, the Canyon Ferry Brewery shut down. You know, maybe it doesn't happen, maybe it does. But the part of that is that as commissioners and the county, we're responsible for that. The health, well-being, and economical health of our county is at risk here. It's seriously at risk. And I don't disagree with you that everybody driving through here every day is the same thing. And like Wynn said, you know what? I'd love to go out there. I'd go to Winston and build the wall. I won't even charge you for it. And I put one down at Fulford's Hill and I wouldn't charge you for that one and we'd be done with it. But that's not what's going to happen. But if you invite all these people, and if you have a normal attendance of $200 or $300 on rodeo, 200 or 300 people on rodeo, on Western rodeo days, but then on Friday and Saturday it blows up to 600 and 1,000, then you've added 700 people to your population with the chance of that virus being infected. And the thing is, you don't know. I mean, like Daryl said, you could come here and 2 days later you got COVID virus. Where did you get it in towns, or did you have it before you went there? And that's what I look at. It's not, you know, we can have a great weekend and you can have a big blow up in your business and make a whole bunch of money, but are you ready to be shut down for 6 months? And not only that, but are your other people in your businesses that are struggling? And there's several of them. I think that if you go back to phase 1, they're going to be out of business. So if you bring that group of people into town and you influence that, then you haven't protected your economy. That's all I got. Get you over.
Couldn't the same thing happen with the walleye tournament?
Yes.
What's that?
Couldn't the same thing happen with the walleye tournament?
Well, I don't think that you don't have as many people, and they're pretty well concentrated at the silos. I mean, they don't make there's not a whole lot of business coming to town from the walleye festival. Those people stock their camper, go to the campground, go to the lake, go fishing, go home. I mean, I don't see the walleye festival as an economical boom for town. The thing is, with the rodeo, people are going to the rodeo and then they're coming here, plus you have all of the locals mixing in with those people. And guaranteed, a lot of those people that come are family. I mean, there's a class reunion sitting there when they're waiting to find out if there's rodeo or not. So if they're going to come from California, they just had a group come back from California in Butte, 8 people in the car. The 2 people in Butte realized they had COVID, so they self-quarantined. The other 6 people, they just went about their business. So what makes them think that they don't have it? I mean, it's just, the thing is snowballing. And the way that it's going right now, everywhere in the United States is blowing up with it again. And I'm not so sure that the way that things are going right now, that by August 1st, we're not back in phase 1. And it's not anything that we did, but I don't want to be the county that blows it up.
So, Mr. Chairman, you gave authority to the sanitarian to approve or not approve the walleye festival?
Sean had authority to approve, to
Yes.
work with the walleye festival people. And same as he does with the city pool.
Okay.
Because it's a limited amount. And the thing is that, you know, they're probably over this. What are there, Debbie, do you know how many teams there are?
As of yesterday, 105.
And they're expecting
And
25 members per day.
So that's like an event of 210, 220.
That's
Oh, no,
teams.
you're talking teams. You
They
have,
bring their families, their buddies,
and their
they can
children.
have, I think, 4 people to vote or something.
Right.
And actually and then they have the volunteers, a
Right.
lot of volunteers. And then you have people that do come to town. the kids,
Oh, they'll be,
the women who wanna go shopping or get ice cream. They go eat.
So we should just, approve the fair because the walleye tournament got it? Or
You've already
I mean,
approved
what
the
are you
fair.
saying?
We're gonna approve the fair and 4-H now. Which is a double standard. You've got hundreds of people that go to the fair and 4-H now. You wanna hold the rodeo to a different standard. You know, that's the thing. You can catch COVID going to Walmart. You can go to, there's no guidelines there. No guidelines at Costco. True or false? There's no guidelines to go out here with 500 campers. We're not shutting that down, right? There's campers all over this. My population goes up by 5,000 people every weekend around this friggin' lake. No standard there. There's plenty of seating out there. You know, you talk about enforcement. My job's enforcement. None of you have any enforcement authority whatsoever. That's my job. So,
No, that's where you're wrong.
no, I'm not.
You are wrong.
Careful,
Dr. Campbell
careful,
has he has
careful.
the enforcement.
He's not here.
Yeah.
Well, he has that authority
He does.
by statute.
He does, under
Okay.
Title 50. Okay? I get that. I don't think we should argue the law,
All right.
right?
So don't tell me that you're the only one that has authority.
Well, he's not here.
Okay, Brianne.
Thank you. When you were, I agree with the whole getting shut down again. I'm self-employed. So, and I don't pay into, unemployment. So when I was shut down for a month, thank God my husband was, still working. He was essential. The government plan finally did come around. I got $184 a week. Can anyone live off that? Pay your house payment with that? Type thing. So I understand where you're coming from, Jeremy. When you brought up that of the amount of people, my question for you is, what is your number then? Do you think that you could do the rodeo safely for the stands? Because Wynn has in the plan, the dimensions of the stands and all that. What is your guys' idea on the numbers the rodeo should have to keep it down to in order to make it feasible and happen? Is there that, or are you guys just not willing to work at all?
Well, it's some of the stuff that we looked at as far as guidance is Lewis and Clark, and they were saying 250 people at an event.
Okay.
And then they kind of downsized that down, that if you can't maintain social distancing, then you have to limit it to 50 people or it has to be canceled.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's kind of the guidelines that they're looking at. I don't think that 250 is I mean, you're gonna be outnumbered in that just in contestants.
Well, the sanitarian, who you guys give authority with walleye tournament, told me that as long as everybody's wearing a mask, the social distance doesn't apply. So which side of the fence are we standing on here? Because you can't have your cake and eat it too. Your job's to make a decision and make it right. Now, if we're gonna follow the guidelines that said if you're wearing a mask, no social distancing is applicable. So, or is it? You can't pick and choose. Figure out what you want to do. But I'm going to tell you that, you know what? It's not you guys spending $40,000 per rodeo on. So the fact of the matter is I need to figure out a way to recuperate $40,000. If we can't do that, then hell, we might as well cancel it. But the guidelines is if you got to wear a mask or a facial covering, no social distancing applies. So that's what I went off, based upon the sanitarian who you just authorized to approve a walleye tournament. So which side is it?
Well, I don't look at the walleye festival as having as much impact as the rodeo has. Because you're not congregating, I mean,
It's
the
2 hours
rodeo,
a day.
people are gonna end up congregating in spaces, and there's a lot more of them than you have in a walleye festival. And that's not what I'm even looking at here. I don't, it's the amount of people from the distance that they're coming that you're bringing into town. Those people are pretty much staying at the lake. I mean, there's no more of them come to town than what normally comes to town on a weekend. But the thing is that you're gonna bring in 1,000 people here. It's just not, it's not feasible. And like Teresa says, the loss to one life is way too much. And the other part of that is, I would rather err on the side of caution and possibly push things back till September, October, or versus having it start in the middle of August. I mean, it's just the economics of the thing. Yeah, we can have a great weekend, but the thing is that the side effects of it are way too risky for me. Yes, Joe.
I guess I'd like to know if the walleye tournament had a number amount in their plan and what that number amount was.
What was that?
I would like to know if the walleye tournament had a number amount of people attending in their plan and what that number was.
I think the only number that we would have would be the number of teams.
That's what I saw in this plan. I don't have it with me. But it was the historical, how many teams, but it didn't say how to max.
So was there
And they truly
100?
have no idea how many are gonna show up, because they didn't register today.
Do you know how many teams there was?
I
I thought
don't.
they said 115 last night.
Last year it was 115.
And
What's
as
that?
of today,
Last
last year I think it was
year was
115
115.
teams. As of yesterday, it was 105, or research.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think it ever said a max. You know, we max out at whatever. I don't believe so.
So I have the walleye tournament rules here. They will not be, no self-serve,
Sorry, what was
so,
that?
No seltzer with food? Self-serve.
Oh,
Okay, open that thing on my phone.
yeah, that one. They are having drinks Friday night at the rules meeting, which will be tonight. Saturday, the awards, they will have food and drink provided. Will be served by the St. Louis staff. The staff will wear gloves and masks. I don't see a maximum number of people.
Yes, Tim?
Tim Ravendahl, just my understanding, you're talking 1,000 people could be a potential overload at the rodeo. But now you're bringing that in to almost portray that it's coming in with 1,000 people that don't live around here. They're from foreign. Let's remember, a lot of the people that are there on that Saturday night are local people that are in and out of this community every day. So it's not necessarily 1,000 new people coming in spreading the disease. I think that gets missed sometimes in this discussion. Another thing is the walleye tournament. You talk 100 teams, each team is 5 members.
No, each
Or
team is 2.
Well, each boat I've seen out there has been anywhere from 4 to 5 people on the boat.
This walleye festival out here is a sanctioned event, and they're allowed 2 people in the boat.
Oh, okay.
it says,
My
it
bad.
says right here,
I stand
two-person
corrected. Thank
teams.
you. But again, it's a lot of people.
Corey, can you tell what the liability issue is with the new deal from Mako?
So we received information this week that Mako's reinsurer, because they're a small entity, they're our insurer for lawsuits purposes, liability tort, but they have a reinsurer that's probably the nationwide aggregate of counties. Their reinsurer informed them as of June 1st that they no longer insure for lawsuits related to communicable diseases. And so Mako just informed us this week, in fact, when I sent them inquiries about this very topic, so just liability assessments. And they said they don't do it anymore. So that means that if there's a lawsuit against the county or any county entity, that Mako will not provide legal counsel and will not insure any of the damages. That's significant. That's not only is it significant, but it's a significant fact that we found out at this time. And I urge them to inform the county. So.
Have you read the disclaimer in the rodeo about not holding them responsible if you get COVID up there?
I have, and Wynn emailed that to me last night, I haven't had a chance to look at it, I just now came from finishing my Army course, so, I'm a little behind on this topic, but they're a private organization, so how that disclaimer may be enforced would be for their legal counsel. I guess I have some concerns about not only how we would craft a disclaimer, but the enforceability of it. I mean, the fact that people are gonna come on to property owned by city or city county, and they're gonna participate in an activity sponsored by a local government. So under Montana law, you can't disclaim away all your liability. The reality is, this is a completely unsettled area of the law. There will be lawsuits for sure, across this state and across the nation in the next couple years over this issue. And the great debate is going to be on foreseeability, because whenever you do a liability lawsuit, your elements are, first of all, duty. What's our duty to the public? To provide them a safe place to recreate, et cetera. Secondly is how have you breached that duty? And part of that is the foreseeability of spread of a disease. And you balance that with the reasonableness of restrictions that you've imposed. Part of that's also based on how much of it is basically someone that participates or attends takes some of that risk upon themselves, but then ultimately you have a question of that breach and those damages. We're in new territory, and I guarantee, nationwide, nobody really knows what this is going to happen. I can just say that enterprising plaintiffs lawyers they're very much going to be looking for ways to, find an injured person and make some money out of it. Whether that happens to us, I don't know. We could shut down everything. We could put the most stringent restrictions in place, and we might still get sued, right? Or we might allow these activities with the restrictions you have, and they might be considered the prevailing standard at the time right now. Might not get sued, or if we get sued, then I'm the guy defending it because Mako's not going to defend it. So you understand it's going to be a massive time commitment, and we ultimately, a court or a jury may decide what we did was reasonable. But that's, I'm not saying don't do anything for fear of lawsuits. In this case, I would say predict that most likely you will have lawsuits. You just have to kind of weigh that risk.
Thank you.
I have a question, Chase.
Yeah.
Rob, were you at the rodeo grounds with the sanitarian?
I was.
And what was the sanitarian's position at the time?
Well, we were just getting information, and I guess that's why I was asking. I'm disappointed he's not here today, because I would really like to hear his thoughts on the plan, because there was no plan drafted when we were there. We were just looking at seeing what space is there, what's possible, can there be a plan, and we just compiled information, but we didn't really conclude on anything when we left.
Did he give recommendations?
Yeah, he gave some, and he had a concern on the beer garden and how it could be. He didn't say that, oh, absolutely it can't happen, but he just had concerns about, in that area, adequate bathrooms, things of that nature. But the meeting was really just information gathering and not really any kind of decision until we were able to all come back here and discuss it. And then when we had an actual physical plan in front of us, I was hoping to get his input on it.
Mike, I have a question. Is this something that could be tabled until Sean is here, until next Tuesday or Wednesday? I know the road needs an answer, but can wait a few days to get his input?
What's your schedule? Aren't you leaving?
I won't be here. I'll be in Great Falls.
But you have seen the plan, so
We have to have a quorum to vote though, and so that's the issue.
Can you be here by phone?
And the only day you can be here is Friday.
Unless we want to meet Saturday and Sunday.
And next Friday's a holiday.
Yes, it is.
Well,
It's your birthday.
No, it's July.
Are there any more public comments, further comments? You got anything to follow?
I have nothing here.
I have one from Kristen Hagan. So can the tickets cost be raised to rent a big screen TV and camera so people can sit out in lots, social distance, and see the rodeo?
Well, there was talk of an online option, and I'm not sure where that's at right now for everybody that wanted to stay home, that they could still kind of attend the event without being here.
And then there's also from Carrie Russ, all the rodeo contestants have been jackpotting. I don't know what that is. I guess that's an event. High school rodeoing for months has been going on with 0 issues, no sickness, no outbreaks.
I think that the high school rodeos have a pretty restrictive number of people, as far as you can't bring grandpa and all the aunts and uncles. I think that from what I understood, they were limited in those events to parents and siblings or something like that. The thing with the jackpot roping is there's not, from what we understood with the Thompson roping event, was that those people pretty well stay social distance away, and there's not a huge number of spectators, and we have been having jackpot roping out there, I believe, and it's a lot more controlled. And the thing is it's not the contestants that we're worried about.
So if the rodeo board requires masks, is there a problem?
Once again, it's not, to me, it's not just the rodeo. It's the side events. And like, I think Ennis is doing the rodeo, but they canceled the parade.
Okay.
And I don't understand why you do that. Yes, Tim?
Just a clarification, since county attorney's here, maybe he can help with it. When made a comment, I believe it's probably under Title 50, where you would go in and say mandatory masks to come in and sit in them stands. Under the Constitution, is that really, does that create a problem for the rights of the citizens? And how do you, again, it seems like problematic to even put yourself in that position to try to enforce that.
Well, how I see it, and maybe Corey can correct me, but being a private organization, putting out a function, we have the ability, no different than full billing notice saying no shirt, no shoes, no service. Same concept. It's you know, if that's what it takes to be in the venue, that's what it takes to be in the venue. And you know, that's how I see it. And maybe Corey can enlighten me another way, but it's not. One, no one's forcing you to be there, you know, and you're making the decision to go to it, you're on your own. So I don't get it, but that's me.
So let me just finish that. So that's correct, as far as their private organization. It's bounded within the framework of state laws because it's done on a public facility, state county government, as well as under Title 50, and you're basically, because we're in the state of emergency we're in, and they need a permit to do those events. So what they couldn't do is they couldn't say, you know, nobody from North Dakota allowed, you know, or some other, whatever group they don't like, you know, keep 3 or 4 wolves out, that'd be fine. But then the other thing is, they couldn't do something less restrictive than what either the current state or county health regulations are that are in place. Right now, the state regulations are the ones that are governing, because this board says we're following the state regulation. You can impose more restrictive regulations than the state, or you can do it on a, event by event basis. And so what they can do is they can say, yeah, we're following that guidance. And what they couldn't do is they couldn't do something less restrictive than what was basically in their permit. Then the last issue that you have to deal with is, well, let me finish on that. So a couple months ago, 2 months ago, this issue came up among county attorneys. We had a lot of discussion in York ourselves. So I wrote a legal memo and gave it to all the other county attorneys on this issue. There's only one Montana Supreme Court case that's directly on this issue, and it's from the 1960s in Billings. They had a rabies outbreak, and the city imposed a bunch of restrictions on animals, and an officer ended up shooting a dog. Turned out it wasn't positive rabies, but they thought it was, and ultimately that was upheld. The court said that in your public health authority, you can impose these kinds of regulations. It's not considered the same as due process of no incarceration without due process of trial, etc. This is an imposition in order to protect public health and safety. But that's been the only case. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some cases that come out of this a little bit. So the last part of that makes it difficult is, number one, we don't know the uncertainty of whether these are the correct or the complete set of safeguards that are going to prevent mass transmission. This is the best science we have right now. I did a 7-hour course last week on all this, and what they're saying is the 6 feet, the masks, the cleaning services, that appears to be what you do at this point. And then anyone who is in contact needs to be quarantined. Anyone that's sick needs to be isolated. And the current studies are saying the 2 most common ways that you have it transmitted is, one, the virus is on an unclean surface. Someone makes contact with that and transmits it to usually this part of your body. Or secondly, conversations that last several minutes that are face-to-face closer than 6 feet. That tends, right now that's what they're saying. It's not exact science. So that's the unknown. We can only do the best we can know at the time with science. And then the second part is, and I think this is a whole team discussion, is how you enforce these restrictions. Because it's going to be really easy for someone that comes in, yeah, I got a mask, I got whatever. Then they see an old friend they haven't seen for 10 years. They go to the beer garden together and get beer, and you can't drink beer with the mask on, so the mask comes off. And, after 2 or 3 of those beers, that intoxication makes you immune to coronavirus. And so that's the hardest part, is the enforcement. And as Mike said, it's not the contestants, it's not the bulls, it's not the calves, it's the crowd that comes in. I don't have a good answer for you, because the other thing you have to weigh is, if everybody in the country shuts down, or everybody shuts down rodeos, there's an entire industry that, there's people that have invested millions of dollars in stock, in the best bulls and the best horses, the broncs, whatever, and they're suddenly left without a paycheck. And you've got all these people that are rodeo cowboys and families that do this, and they're suddenly, they're back picking rock on Grandpa's farm all summer because they can't rodeo. I mean, it's not just, it's a community event, and that it matters to Townsend and Broadwater County, but it's also that there really are many, many lives affected by this if suddenly rodeos cease to exist for this summer. And as we know, rodeo is always being challenged by PETA and other groups. I mean, they would love to see rodeo go away as an American institution. We certainly don't want that. So that's why you guys get paid the big guys.
No, since you brought up the guidelines, help me out, is that if social distancing cannot be met no more than 50 people in a group, right?
Well, yes, that's that under phase 2. That's what the general guideline is. But then there are more specific ones per subcategory, and then ultimately, if the board says, we're going to have some certain requirements, that's going to end up being the enforceable mechanism.
But my point was under phase two. And like I said earlier, is that no one has a crystal ball. But if you look at my beer garden template, there's 12 tables that range anywhere from 3 feet to 50 inches in diameter with an allotted space or allotted group of 4 to 8 people, depending on the size of the table. So help me out. You've got 12 tables and you've got 4 to, and I think I put the number on it at 72, with them being spaced 12 feet apart. So again, I get the fact that we don't want people hanging out together, but hell, I can put 6 people inside an enclosed building, drinking beer, whiskey, whatever, sharing their food at the commercial bar, inside an enclosed structure. Talking about outside, 100 degrees, wind, rain, and everything else. And sunlight, which studies show, the science shows, kills COVID. So if we're going to use science, then let's use science all the way across the board. Let's not pick and choose. Like I said earlier, let's figure out what side of the fence we want to stand on. Personal preference doesn't matter. If you want to quote science, you want to quote the way things are based upon the science, then follow it. Follow the recommendations. Judge Bullock or Governor Bullock says no more than 50 people in the group. That's my state guideline at this juncture. And we're talking about approving a plan for today's guidelines. In 4 weeks, we could have different guidelines. This thing could go away in 4 weeks. We don't know that. It could be 10 times worse in 4 weeks. We don't know that either. What we're asking for is a plan to work towards or work with until something changes.
So I went to law school, so I didn't have to do math and geometry. So I don't know about your table diagrams. You know, there's 15 people in this room right now, and we're all roughly 6 feet apart. So I agree. What I understand his reasoning, his statement is that if you can't have social distancing, well, I don't know. We can do a lot of breaking down the percentages. Bottom line is that's generally been the standard is avoid large congregations, separate, wear masks when you can't, wear protective equipment. I think the hardest part is there. I think there's 2 parts. It's one, it is the the third hour of the event when everyone's got 3 beers in them. But it's also the choke points of traffic, in those gates, up the railings, that issue, the bathrooms. So that's probably the hardest part to enforce. And as far as the science goes, I would defer to the scientists. This whole thing's a balancing act. That's what it comes down to. And you have general guidelines, and then you have to make specific decisions based on specific events. This one, if the decision is different than the walleye tournament, well, the event is fundamentally different from the walleye tournament too. There'd be adequate reason to have a different decision. There would also be adequate reason to have different guidelines that are more stringent to go forward for now. But from my point of view, my expectation is 100% chance one or more counties are getting sued in the next 12 months. 100% chance. So hopefully we're not one of them.
Mike, real quick, I have some information for you on Ennis. The reason the parade was canceled, it's city property, it goes right through town. The mayor would not sign off on it. The rodeo was on private property. He did not have authorization to cancel. Just some background to it.
Oh, for Ennis?
For Ennis. And rodeo in Ennis is happening next week.
Well, I think Showrock, you sent me that plan, I think they canceled it. Because their grandstands with 3,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it got canceled, because there was no way that you could work it out. Big Timbers this weekend, Lincoln's next weekend, Harlan's next weekend. Again, I don't say, I don't see it's a destination, but, one of the things that you're watching, I think that's, Corey brought it up, and I think it's a very, it's a big thing. And I think it, regardless of how you feel, if you're part of the PIA, if you're or not, if you believe in beef tastes good, and that's what I like to eat, and that's what we believe in as well, but we're watching our historical foundation of our country get toppled on every second of every day. And I think that people are sick and tired of it. And rodeo is one of those long-standing events that goes back to the western suburbs of the western United States. Have rodeos forever and ever, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And I think that we continue to wash away our history and our cultural foundation is just making this country worse and worse. We seem to have a lot of guidelines and recommendations for everything. If you're a hard-working American citizen, but if you want to be that person that tears down the statue of Abraham Lincoln, we have no desire to even engage you in the process. So you're seeing an unbalance in our nation, and it's really, you see it here as well. And the people of Montana, the people of Oregon, we get pretty frustrated with that. And so, I understand exactly what the Board of Health's responsibilities are. I get it. I get the phase 2 guidelines. I understand what Coach wants and the county attorney said. It's not just one thing. And, one of the things we haven't talked about is people being locked in and shut at home. And I think Teresa brought it up 2 days ago. And our enemy suicide has gone through the roof. And, just one more thing, that's an important component of this as well, is morale of our citizens, to be engaged in something that comes around once a year. It's not every day that,
Are there any other comments? Well, I guess if not, we'll entertain a motion either to approve or disapprove or.
Well, I guess, my thought is that, bringing as many people into our community is just too high risk for our community. And, for our economy, if we do have to go backwards because of an outbreak. And also, wearing my commissioner's hat, that's something that the county can take on that type of liability, right? So.
I would agree. I think, more the commissioner's side than the Board of Health side. I think the thing is that, like Corey said, somebody's going to get sued. Like I said before, I think, you could have a great weekend, but I think that the risk is way far outweighs way far would outweigh the benefit. And from the Board of Health side, I think that you have to be concerned that you're bringing in all these people. I think the fair and the 4-H are mostly a lot more centered on local people attending, local people participating. And I don't know how to say it, but I don't have a problem with the rodeo plan. Like I said before, there are some things there that could be adjusted with some work, but the problem is the side effects is what I have the problem with it is if that crowd down a commercial or even a crowd on Main Street, there's too many people in too confined of an area And that's what goes on with your bleachers too. I guess the one question that I would have on the plans, and Corey, if they have masks in like 5 sections, and then they have 2 sections where no masks are required. Isn't that a violation of the standards?
Well, I think, I thought in that section that the people had seating that was spread farther apart in the no mask section, isn't that correct?
Yeah, it met the social distancing guidelines.
Social distancing would all that. Okay. I can't, for the health and the economic standpoint of the community, I can't support approving the plan.
Any comments, Robin?
Do you have anything, Robert?
Well, I'm just thinking about it. The insurance side is definitely kind of my hold up with being it's a county event. So Sean, you're definitely saying that if you hold the event, even if the plan completely, it meets the guidelines that the state has in phase 2, somebody can successfully sue us anyway.
But I don't know if they could successfully sue us. That's the question. I mean, so what I would say, let's say hypothetically, we do the plan, hold the rodeo, and, one person, minimum of one person, they can somehow do a factual trace back to getting, infected at this event. So, what they're likely going to do, what they could do, and a good plaintiff's lawyer could do, is they're going to sue the county, they're going to sue the rodeo association, they're going to sue the state, all 3. Because then what they're going to say from the state and county point of view is you guys were negligent in, putting the standards in the way you should have done better, et cetera. And then they'll sue the rodeo association saying you guys didn't enforce or whatever it might be. It may not be successful, but a lawsuit like that is a lawsuit that is going to be dependent on basically an ever-evolving standard, right? And it's also going to be one that's going to go 2-3 years before you get an answer. So if you're a lawyer, you're like, oh yeah, this will be I'll enjoy this lawsuit because it'll be challenging and creative. Well, when you have millions of dollars at stake and you got someone's health at stake, it's not fun anymore. It's not a fun academic exercise. So that's the concern. The concern is that, yeah, ultimately we could prevail. The court could say, the jury could say, you did the best you could at the time, $1 damages or whatever. But a lawsuit like this is going to be a long-term haul. That's all there is to it. It might not happen, but I am confident it's going to happen to somebody. And I think this is, when you think about the waves of major litigation, we had the tobacco, we had the opioid, we had the car safety, massive waves of litigation in America since early 1970. This is the next one.
It's Joseph.
Can a lawsuit come out of anything that happens in the county?
Yes.
Okay.
And does.
The one thing though that he's saying, I think that would be covered under our insurance. This COVID would not be, because the bureau that insures for it just backed out on it.
Yeah. So we're always assessing that liability, right? So
Right.
I have a couple of these oddballs. The county road, Joe Schmalz's case is not covered by MEGA, so I'm doing that. And it's kind of become this, it's this bane of my existence right now. But if there's ones that are covered, then what we do is we talk to them in advance. That's what we did, is we were submitting things to get their, thumbs up on liability this week, and then they were like, double thumbs down. So.
I guess, my thought, okay, I'm ready to give it. I'm not a commissioner. The liability is on your side, and you are looking at this from a completely different point of view than I am, coming from just a guy with a public health background. I see that the event has the potential to meet all the state guidelines, and that with some tweaking, we would want to, if we were going to approve it, I would go back and revisit some of the beer garden stuff, and then looking at the social distancing aspect, and then I would like more information on the enforcement side, and to have a clear red line in the sand that says, okay, this event no longer meets where we're at, it's over, it's done. Where, I mean, that's kind of the thing that really hasn't really been discussed is Sheriff Meehan, like day one, you see that nobody's giving a dang about any of the rules. I mean, would you be comfortable with saying, oh, if none of you are going to follow this, the whole thing's over?
You asked me that?
I am.
Well, let's put it in perspective, okay? Is anybody, if you get a ticket, or you have a sign that says you're required to wear a mask, if you go sit in a seat and says you're sitting in a seat, you're required to wear a mask, okay? Now, if the sheriff walks up to you and says, hey, put the mask on and leave, how defined you will be? Because now the fact is, I'm not going to put you in jail for not wearing a mask. I'm going to put you in jail for obstructing. Okay? See what I'm saying?
I do.
So it comes down to the people that go to rodeos are not the people that are being defined in the law. They're hardworking Montana citizens. That's what they are. None of them, more people worry about whether their speeding ticket they got is going to affect their driver's record. Right? They sure the hell don't want a criminal history because they wouldn't put a mask on sitting in a masked area. Okay? We can't use the people that are out of control as a guideline of what society is.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking,
I mean, if I walked up there and everybody took their masks off, are you talking about the whole grandstand took their masks off?
Well, no, I'm just saying if your overall assessment is that this is just not working, people are not following the plan, as a whole. I'm not talking about one or two individuals, I mean, my question is in that event or that scenario, would you shut the whole thing down?
You have to.
Okay.
That's the thing is that.
So I guess what I'm going for is just, clear enforcement,
I mean, the whole point in part one is mask required, okay? That's the thing, advertise it, add it on the tickets, have designated seating for those things. If you choose to sit there, then you're choosing to accept those responsibilities. The other part of that was having a rodeo announcer every two events remind people of the rules of wearing a mask and personal safety and hygiene. The problem is you can only educate so far, right? And then you can't fix stupid is the best way to describe it. I've got a whole jail full of folks that fall in that same category right now. So, if everybody just came to fight, which I was really struggling with, is that the people that would be there would do that. Then you have to be, if people are just not compliant, you have to stop. And
okay. I just wanted that line is there. And
I mean, the thing is that would I stop the rodeo or would I make everybody leave the rodeo dance? If I make everybody leave the rodeo dance, right? So, the contestants, and that's the thing is these people that come in, that's an $85 entry fee for just a regular, I think it's 85, not more, for just a regular event. And so your saddle on bareback and things like that. Those guys got time, money, and invested now. And so if the participant or the spectators don't want to participate, and they want to be a bunch tackling, then that's where you eliminate them.
Corey?
So when I don't know if it's quite that simple. My thought had been coming up to this week, tentatively approve it, with kind of some benchmarks between now and then to see if things get better or get worse. But I guess what I didn't realize is that there's some kind of a commitment to the stock provider, and there's a financial commitment there. And I think the concern is if this thing gets canceled after the first night, then we might be in, somebody's gonna be in the hole a lot of money. And I assume that has to kind of play out. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Well, that's the problem is that, you know, like I said, we spend about $40,000 for the rodeo, and a lot of that comes from beer sales, merchandise sales, and people being in the seats. And so there has to be a certain number. And so understanding that, well, let's drop it down to, you know, 250. Well, Lewis and Clark just advertised a monster truck rally for August 8th. So at their fairground. So it doesn't say the limited seats there, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But the thing is that if there's not enough money to recoup for $40,000, you can't have a rodeo, and that's just all it's saying. The Rodeo Association does not have Ted Turner's money to expend $40,000 and get nothing back.
So do you need a decision now, or do you have 10 days? What's your guys' timeline?
Well, I think the reality is that I think the rodeo contractors never be able to work with us up until like a week before. And then it's after the rodeo here at the end. You know, obviously, even the NRA understands, everybody understands the world can turn very quickly. You know, tomorrow morning we have 5,000 cases, but I think it's, trying to figure out where it was. I think they'll work with us up till like a week before, I think. And then after that, then the money's gone. So you understand it.
Well, I guess, on the financial side, you know, that's pretty much the Fair Board's call. And I mean, the subject that I've harped on the last 2 meetings that I've been here is personal responsibility. And that's, you know, again, that kind of puts the financial side in your court, you know, as far as like, is that an acceptable risk for you guys? That if this plan was tentatively approved today, that, I mean, the governor could turn right around and shut you down. You know, is that, you know, if you feel that risk is worth taking, that's kind of more your side of things. And I'm just looking just straightly at the public health side and trying to be really objective. And the legalities are in the commissioner's table, and that's I wouldn't want to be in your shoes right now. But you know, Teresa's right. I mean, she brings up a lot of really good points as far as the risk, because it is a big risk, and we're giving a lot of, well, I guess giving isn't the right word, but we're assuming a lot that people are going to be responsible, and they, you know, have to give the benefit of the doubt that they will be. And but everything I see in the plan meets the guidelines as I've interpreted them. So as far as the actual plan itself, I guess I really don't have a problem with it. I think it's well thought out, and I would be okay with proceeding. I don't really have any new concerns to bring to the table that haven't already been talked about. So I guess that's where I stand.
So we do that. You want to make a motion to approve then, or?
I would make a motion to tentatively approve the plan, but that's not a blanket approval. I want to make that super clear that we could have an event tomorrow that changes everything. But at the moment, just looking, again, I highlight that a lot, just looking from the public health side, the plan meets the state guidelines to
added it.
So yes, tentatively approved.
And if I may.
There a second? No second, no second. There's no second, so the motion is aye. Yes, when did you have?
Well, kind of what Robbie was saying, you know, the fact of the matter is I'm asking you guys to approve a plan for the day's standard, day's guidance. Take out your thoughts of what tomorrow may bring. We could vote if the room did that. That's what I'm asking. Understanding the fact that things can change. And the plan says that the rodeo board understands that things may change. But at least it's a starting point to proceed. And it's actually the second paragraph, Mike. The Rodeo Association also understands that Montana is currently in phase 2 of reopening. With the current increase in COVID-19 could revert to phase 1, or if the situation changes, we can go to phase 3. So, I mean, I think it was very clear in addressing that particular issue right there in itself. We understand, but we gotta have something to start with. And like I said, you know, we could, part of making decisions is based upon what we have in front of us at the time. I'm not trying to what if and when with that. What if, I mean, we could hit the new ice age, we have Armageddon, you got a rapture, we have all sorts of things happening next week. So, our government as a whole could collapse at any given moment, but we don't quit making plans based upon the what ifs of the world. And if you're trying to figure out in your mind out of that something that we don't see and we can't control, like I said earlier, even when we have shelter in place, we still have thousands of cars driving down our highway from all over the country. If we think that we have a handle or have a control on whether COVID-19 is spread across this nation, that we've lost our minds. There's no way to do so. And like I said, I'm asking you, based upon the current plan, current guidance by the government and the CDC recommendations, which, like I said earlier, this dictator says that outdoor activities is a hell of a lot safer than, it doesn't say hell of a lot safer, but it says that it's safer than indoor activities. I like to use adjectives. It is. So that's what I was asking for, understanding that things can change.
So when, if the state was to go to stage 3, say we didn't approve this plan right now, if the state went to stage 3, how much time before the rodeo would you have to have how much of a time frame do you need prior to the rodeo in order to have your stock and everything lined up?
I think part of what we need to know today, because I think all of the boards, whether it's 4-H, fair, or rodeo, we're sitting spinning our wheels because we don't know if we've got a yes or a no answer. And so we have kind of put a lot of the things that we need to get done on a side burner. We've done some things with a hope and a prayer. But we've got to finish getting advertising done. We've not done any advertising other than on our Facebook page and our local paper. We've got to secure vendors. We've got to secure supplies. So 2 weeks isn't enough, I can guarantee you that. And I think we're all hardworking members and our family, you know, it takes all of us. Literally, when we get done with the rodeo, we had a joint meeting the very next month with the fair board and the rodeo board, and we start planning that very next month for the following year. And so, I myself feel like we're just really spinning our wheels, and we need some sort of an answer. So that we can either proceed or proceed for 21.
We ordered saddles and buckles in January. COVID-19 was in here, you know, and, you know, that's fine. Exactly. As soon as last one's done, we start preparing for the next. And it takes all year. And we really have meetings every month, except for December, to try to make this thing work. And a lot of really hard to do. Stock contractor, I think they could be easy enough to work with. That, you know, 2 weeks notice with him on being paid. But the other problem is that the NRA staff, they're the ones that do all the call-ins for who wants to be in the group, who wants to be in the staff. And so this way probably need a little more time to figure out who's going to do that and whatever he's looking at. You know, I get it. I honestly do. I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball to see what the future's going to be. And the numbers aren't consistent that we're seeing. 32, 40, 23, 27, 37. So, yeah, I'm even looking at that.
Yeah, we gotta give these guys an answer.
Yeah.
I guess my motion would be not to approve the radio plan.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Is there any further discussion? So I guess we'll take a vote here. All in favor of disapproving the rodeo plan? Aye. Aye. Opposed, same.
Nay.
Motion carries.
And of course, my opposition is just simply what I've already stated.
Okay, I guess next is Jeff Langos. Where'd he go? There he is.
Can I ask you a quick question? Do you have the Rod and Gun Walleye Derby on your agenda?
No. When is that?
I've been working with Sean. I thought it was gonna be on the agenda today. It's July 11th, but once the big walleye festival gets done this weekend, our entries start pouring in. That's.
Yeah, we don't
But you don't have, did he share with you the plan?
I don't think we have anything for Sean either.
So real quick, sorry to interrupt. So how does the Rod and Gun proceed? There's no alcohol, it's a real simplified. You know, typically we have 40 year-olds. So how do I proceed?
Do you have a plan developed?
Yeah, Sean and I have been emailing back and forth, he had me tweak it, so I thought you guys had seen it.
No, I think probably falling into that same category will be authorized Sean to Teresa.
Yeah, and we can do that just today, just to have him and Teresa approve the plan.
Okay. It's real simplified, it's small. Thanks, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. You're up, Jeff.
And everybody leaves the room. Oh, that's good or bad. Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm here representing Rotary and specifically Fall Fest Committee, of which I'm the chairman. And just like the rodeo, we are planning an event 1st of October. And quite frankly, I've learned an immense amount in this meeting this morning. Some of my questions are, I think, pretty much answered. But I guess my purpose for being here is to try to figure out what needs to be done to move the process towards a plan for Fall Fest. And so as I was listening to all this, the fairgrounds are county property. Fall Fest is at the parks, so is that in the city and this committee has no jurisdiction, or how can you, am I at the right place? I guess that's my first question.
We would, I think that the Board of Health would still have jurisdiction on the event.
Okay, okay,
It doesn't really have anything to do with the property.
okay,
It's more of the event than it is the property.
good, okay, well, that helps me a little bit.
I would think that the city might be in the same position we are,
Yep,
liability wise, right?
yeah,
So that'll be there.
I'm sure I'll be having a meeting with them, yeah. But literally, this is, I mean, besides sitting around having a couple brainstorm sessions, this is the first, I'll say, official step towards making a plan. So internally, what our thought is, we are at this point, assuming we will have a Fall Fest. We have arbitrarily set September 1st as kind of our drop dead date, is to decide, do we go forward or do we cancel? So that's kind of set that. I assume that, I guess my next question is, what is it that I need to do, that Rotary needs to do to get approval? And what I've learned this morning is basically have a plan to present to you. Is there more than that?
I personally, the way that event is, I don't see that event happening. Because it's a free flowing mass crowd event with, you really don't, there's no such thing as socially distant because you're shoulder to shoulder the whole time. And it's the same thing with the car show. I mean, you got the cars that are spread out and stuff, but the thing is, you got everybody, a mass group of people walking up and down the street with no way to, I mean, what's your chances of having 10,000 people put a mask on? It's pretty slim. And what's your enforcement? Well, there goes all whatever money you do make that goes into your coffers is going to get spent on security, because you're going to have some way to enforce that program. As much work as you guys go to do everything, I don't see you having any more people available to do that enforcement. I mean, you're already pretty much overworked as it is.
Yeah, we hire high schoolers to do
Yeah,
a lot of
so
stuff.
it's not, to me, it's not, unless we're in stage 3 by then, I don't see it happen. Because there's absolutely no way, I mean, that's like the commercial crowd on Saturday night 20 times over. And I don't see how you'd ever control it.
I think it'd be more like 100 times over, but okay.
Pretty
Well,
close,
and
yeah.
right now too, we're headed towards the stage 1 direction right now, not stage 3. I don't know if you were here for that part of the, when we talked about numbers, but you know, right now we're in a pretty significant upward swing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I guess as far as you, I don't know what you guys would do, because I don't know how you would come up with a plan. Because the way that you have vendors stuck in there, there's not a separation just in the vendors, let alone people trying to buy stuff from the vendors.
Yeah, and we thought about spacing on the vendors, reduce the number of vendors that are there, but just like you say, you have all the people in between the vendors and they stop at the vendors and there's 10 people at this vendor and yeah.
And then your main thing is you got music all day long, and that's just, you know, from everything that we've got from Lewis and Clark County and everywhere else, concerts are not a plausible thing at all.
In all fairness and reality, as I think about the concert and Fall Fest, there are less people around the concert than there are around beer and the food and the vendors.
Yeah.
So whatever the concert level is, it's probably going to be worse elsewhere. Facetiously, I thought about planning a 6x6 grid on the grounds, but still, we'd have to do
Stay in your square.
we'd have to do the whole city for the
Kind of
number
like a
of people.
cakewalk. Remember we started
Yeah,
cakewalks back in the
cakewalk,
day?
there you go.
Well, and then too, like, I'm just gonna say too, what my opinion is gonna be just strictly public health based. And I mean, you saw the rug literally get pulled out of the commissioner's feet with the liability aspect, that they just pulled all liability. So this event happens, if we can follow the state guidelines, and then they, I shouldn't say they, we could, in Broadwater County, could just whack it sued. So they're gonna be coming at it from a completely different aspect that, than I'm going to. I'm just gonna be just purely looking at how the state looks at things. But right now, if you're over 50 and you can't maintain social distancing, it's gotta be a mask is what the state says.
Okay, so to paraphrase this, unless we go to phase 3, Fall Fest is pretty much a no.
That would be my feeling.
Okay.
But I'd turn it back around on you as an individual. If you think that you can come up with a plan, I would hear the plan. But
Sure.
But really, I guess it's again, personal responsibility is what I really harp on. Is that a risk that you want to take?
I guess that's what I would do as well. If you feel that the Rotary can develop a successful plan to accomplish all those goals that are outlined, then
Good luck.
well, I mean, I'm not gonna discourage you from not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But on this other hand, I don't wanna see you go through a lot of work and expense and then get to a point where, you're finding decisions, well, I'm sorry, it can't happen. I guess you have to weigh that risk out.
Yeah, and it's 3 months away, so it's, you can cross your fingers and hope for things going the right direction.
Right.
Well, maybe they'll come out with a vaccine in August and we'll be okay. You never know.
And so, parallel to Fall Fest is Slice of Summer. We had our first Slice of Summer event, which was a drive-in movie on the fairgrounds. And that was, I was not here, turns out, but the reports I got that it was well accepted.
Yes, it was. It was very well done.
Of course, the traditional Slice of Summer is in the park, basically a mini Fall Fest, and we've been toying with that idea too. So I guess the part B of my question is, to have a traditional Slice of Summer, we would need to come through and get a plan and an approval also.
And didn't we just hear that the chamber canceled the picnic
Yeah.
due to COVID concerns? Is it July?
4th of July.
4th of July picnic
Oh, okay.
due to COVID concerns, so I think people felt okay.
Okay.
So it's the same thing with Slice of Summer. If you're gonna do Slice of Summer, then you have to go through all the sanitization, all the plexiglass covers, all your people have to have gloves and mask on. I mean, that would have to be a plan that would have to be submitted to Sean, and I don't think that that'd be a good idea either.
Okay. Well, again, I'm glad that I was able to come earlier and listen to all the discussion because it was very educational for me. I really felt like I probably didn't even need to ask you the questions. But I was on the agenda, so.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think I have any other questions at this point. I guess the only other thing I would ask is, are the plans that have been discussed, 4-H, rodeo, whatever, are they available to be reviewed as examples?
Absolutely, we have lots of plans.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's what I would suggest, is Sean and Teresa have all these plans, and that's what they've done for folks. They give them to use for templates, and people develop their plans from those.
Okay, perfect. I'll get with
Yeah.
Sean.
And if that is enough, we have 5 or 6 on our computers from counties that we call for plans.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
I can get that. I'll work with Helen to form a file of plans.
Okay.
You can get that.
Thanks. Thanks.
So do we want to, what do you want to do with the rod and gun truck? Do you want to do that the same as we did with the Walleye Festival and, the pool? Just, designate that to Sean and Teresa?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the past, they've all come forward and asked.
Yeah, but I think that I think that they limit that to 50 teams.
Mhm.
So he can basically follow the same guidelines they use for the Walleye Festival.
Are those teams though, are they 2-member teams or?
No, they're
5-member teams?
They can be 2 to 4. You can have
Yeah.
male and female and father and daughter. And
Mhm.
That's where I was confused when I asked.
Yeah.
Because I remember there, a boatload each team.
yeah, one thing they did with the Walleye Festival is they put a weigh station in on the north end of the lake. So you don't have everybody weighing in silos.
Okay,
Then I don't know we'll just have to see the plan.
you have to see the plan. I think it'll be good to see the plan, because that potentially has we can go beyond 250 miles.
Yeah, beautiful. So when do we want to meet again then?
Well, we'll kind of work around Bobby's schedule.
Okay,
Fridays are open.
Fridays.
that was our one day off.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Why don't you take Monday off?
You're welcome.
Okay. So we will set our next meeting we won't meet next Friday.
It's a holiday.
Yeah.
Why not? I see no reason to not meet on a holiday.
Holiday is Saturday.
We
So-
will not be here working on Friday and taking our holiday pay.
Okay, well.
You
we'll
can
let
do
have
so
it.
as well.
Yeah, so-
The holiday is on Saturday, it's not on Friday. Holiday is the 4th, not the 3rd.
I understand this, Commissioner, however.
Okay, so we would meet the following Friday, which is what, the 10th? The 10th? Okay, so we'll meet the 10th then.
Same time.
Ooh, what weekend is that Derby?
I think
It's
11th.
I think it's the 11th, that might be a little bit late for them. Problem is we won't have a quorum to make that decision.
Okay. Well, I'll make the motion that we allow Teresa and Sean to find that plan to approve it.
Yeah, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to that if I could, that we get to see that plan. You know,
Okay, yeah.
and provide input for that.
Yeah.
Okay, if that works.
Yeah, and
All right, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carried. Okay.
And we could probably still meet on the 10th.
Yeah, we can still meet on the 10th, because we'll have other issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think after the 15th, we'll probably be able to go back to meeting at the normal time because I'll be coming off orders
Okay.
by the middle of July. Well, I guess maybe.
You hope,
Yeah.
you hope so. I guess the only thing we need to have is approval of the minutes from the June 19th meeting.
Okay, we'll move to approve the minutes from June 19th.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes from June 19th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carried. Dawn, do you know if the city's done anything with the pool?
No, I don't know. I think they were Weren't they approved the open within the 2 period?
Well, I think we approved it as long as Timmy and Sean got together with the plan that they were okay to open.
Oh, I'll have to.
Okay.
See if there's anything.
Okay, so any other business? If not, we will be adjourned at 11:46.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Nicole.
You're welcome.
Glad that one's over. That was a